Rocket is the key fintech hub in Lithuania, where top creators and founders build the future of financial technologies and the next generation of sustainable innovations. Acting as a dynamic ecosystem, we provide space for networking, expertise sharing, and cooperation, enabling and contributing to the success stories of the finance, technology, and innovation sectors. During the past years, our hub has established a leading position as the home of fintech and core place for fintech community.
Hello, everyone. I have this honor today to moderate this fantastic session about the cybersecurity threats in post-pandemic world. My name is Ludas. I'm the co-founder at Ondato, and we are working a lot with the customer identification services. But I have a bunch of fantastic experts today. I want to introduce every one of them. And without any big intros, I will ask them one by one to join and to introduce themselves. So maybe let's start with Monica. Let's give you the word. And Monica, please introduce yourself.
Okay, so hello everyone. I'm glad you came to this session because, well, 2020 has actually been a very interesting year in cybersecurity. So I started out in artificial intelligence, and I've been working quite a while with AI, and then I moved on to cybersecurity to apply artificial intelligence there. And I've been working with open source intelligence tools and cybersecurity analysis tools. And I'm also very interested in what's happening in the cybersecurity area globally, the newest innovations. So I hope today I will be able to share with you the exciting one and interesting things.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. So another one expert that we have is Romunus. Romunus, please come on stage and introduce yourself.
Mm-hmm. Hello, I'm Romunus Liubertas. I'm glad that I am participating in this event, and of course I could share my insights with you. I am IT engineer, and I'm working in the cybersecurity company ESET Lithuania in the support team. I'm responsible for secure improvement of our customers and smooth implementation of our projects with best practice. We analyze our customers' cyber threats in Lithuania, and by receiving telemetry data from more than 280,000 data points, we can see quite accurate trends of threat in nationwide. And of course, we can collaborate with you, and in this event, I will prepare it to share this data and with you.
Fantastic, thank you so much. Another great expert that we have with us is Andrius. Andrius, come on stage and please introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, my name is Andrius Rubinskas. I'm an information security expert at Tesonet. So we are working with cybersecurity products. So we live in cybersecurity, and we deal with cybersecurity things every day in our careers. So yeah, hopefully I will be able to give some useful tips and something to take out of this conversation. So yeah, I'm looking forward to see where this leads, and thank you for having me.
Fantastic, thank you so much. And Mantas, please come on stage, introduce yourself, because that's another great expert that we have with us today. I'm sorry, Mantas, I think you're on mute.
So once again, hello from snowy Vilnius. I am Mantas Martus. I'm coming from academia. My PhD was on information war, and as well I have some experience as a regulator of radio and television. So I hope my insights will be helpful for you here, and as well I hope it will be a fruitful discussion.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And last but not least, Marius Parashis will join us later today. Without any, longer discussions, let's kick this off. And maybe Monica, I will start from you then. Why we should talk about these cyber threats and what is now happening from your opinion and your view in this world.
Okay, so speaking of recent years, we noticed that cybersecurity is becoming of high importance for many untraditional industries, meaning, well, we usually think that cybersecurity is most important for very crucial operations. But this year it showed that, well, anybody can be a target. So 2020 was very interesting from the point of view that all of us worked a lot of remotely. So everything from VPN connections up until the business data was at risk. And we realized actually that we need, any company should be prepared within cybersecurity. For example, when we had a global pandemic and vaccine being developed, the whole vaccine development and supply chain was a target. And it turns out that these industries are usually not very cyber secure, so they were not prepared good enough. So the attackers also managed to disrupt some of operations. And as well, 2020 was first year when we realized that cybersecurity sometimes can be a matter of life and death, because in one German new hospital, there was an incident where the patient's data was encrypted and the hackers asked for ransom, but the doctors, well, needed the data right away. So unfortunately, there was a first cybersecurity victim this last year. So I think we are realizing that we cannot live without it, that it's basically a basic hygiene to have your data safe and secure.
Fantastic, thanks. And maybe Ramunas, let's move then to your side. So like that was mentioned, not secure enough, and the trends and all this stuff happening. So can you elaborate more then on what are the trends and what are the current issues?
If you compare last year with 2018, our customers had a very stressful year, not only with challenges of coronavirus pandemic, but also on cybersecurity side. In the 2020, increased 92% of banking trojans, 70% of adware, and about 40% of exploits related to remote connections and operating system vulnerabilities. Taking into account telemetry data, which we have possibility to look to this data, we can see that the increasing of cyber threats in Lithuania started in March after the beginning of a first national quarantine and was active till the end of the year. When started quarantine, massive company networks opened the networks for remote work from home, and it increased brute force attacks and attempts to break into the company computers. We also have sad stories when companies not fully measuring the risk of cyber threats and unexpectedly catch ransomware across the company network. And we try stressfully to contact with us, explains that all employees can't start working. Company manager requires as soon as possible to solve the problem. And of course, question is how to decrypt the important data without paying about 1 Bitcoin for decryption key. In Lithuania, last year, we had 2 massive malware campaigns dedicated for insecure mail servers. One started in the middle of October when Trojan with name GenScript spread as an attached document by sending emails. At the time, Lithuania was actually in the top 3 of the countries in the world affected by this Trojan. Second campaign was at the end of the previous year. It was more advanced, and Trojan bypassed mail security himself, integrated into the encrypted attachment with a password. And when recipient and this password recipient could find in the body of a letter. After opening this file, computer with insufficient protection became infected, and of course automatically starts infecting emails in the inbox, Outlook or different mail client, and forwarding all letters from them for customers in the address book. I can imagine that something similar scenarios were and in other countries, but when we looking to Lithuania's countries, is last year was very stressful.
Thank you so much, and maybe let's elaborate more on this, because Andres, you work a lot as well with the securing the connection itself, and what is your view on that, and what is your maybe some data points that you have from your perspective?
Yeah, so I'll have to agree with my colleagues right here. 2020 was a hell of a year. I mean, we just started to realize all the dynamics of working from home, and all this remote environments introduced a lot of risks, of course, and made a lot of cybersecurity owners at the companies to make sacrifices in terms of being able to actually work from remote locations. So as we work with cybersecurity incidents, we observe a lot of breaches from all sorts of places. I mean, there are a lot of emerging attacks on targeted origins. Companies are being targeted more and more, and a lot of attackers trying to extort data, try to steal data from all sorts of sources. So as we realize that people are only caring about, well, mainly authentication data, the recent statistics shows that a lot of other data points are being compromised a lot. For example, during the last 3 months, we can see that there are a lot of other information starting from, I mean, data points can vary from email addresses, usernames, and passwords that we mainly used to keep this information to ourselves and keep it private. But we can see a lot of IP addresses, a lot of information scraped from professional sites like LinkedIn. We can see a lot of personally identifiable information like location, IP addresses, even eye color. There are a lot of data points that we observe a lot in recent months. So this introduces a new way for the attackers to use their creativity during social engineering attacks. So they can include a lot of personal information to these attacks, and that makes them more and more prone to be able to access something or to successfully compromise the target. So the year is crazy. I mean, 2021 just started, and we can already see a lot of trends, a lot of security events going all around the world. We can see the news, we can see the news about data breaches. So yeah, it's a wild time. Yeah, it's the Wild West as we read now.
Thank you so much, Mantas. Your experience is basically, from a really high view, from the previous experience that you had, and you have the PhD on the war expert. And can you elaborate a bit or more, let's say, on the part of, so what kind of war we actually have? And we already kind of discussed that it is a problem, and it is becoming today's problem in general, because everything is going online. But what are the possibilities, basically, first of all, to maybe control that, and on the other hand, so what kind of war we have actually in online?
Thank you very much. You know what, I would like to start from BBC series Years and Years, and knows why. It's very interesting. They in 2018 or 2019 launched 6 series of movie. It's movie, you can watch it, and they try to look at the tendencies and what will happen in 20, 40 years ahead. And they try to predict. It's not a documentary, it's actually an entertainment movie, very good. And before not spoiling it, I would like to disclose 2 things. One of the things is that they saying that more and more technical equipment will come into our life and will affect our life. This is what cybersecurity is be a very important issue. And the second thing, they predict that after 30 years, we will switch back from digital to analog, because the cyber threat will be so high that governments won't be able to sustain this security and to have, let's say, normal life going on. All the government institutions will go back to the paper. Here I wanted to say 2 things. We can divide this question in 2 layers. One layer is technical. That's my colleagues Andres and Romunus talked about. That when there been some cybersecurity breaches, the hackers encrypt data, they demand ransom, and so on. And then another thing is that actually, as I talk, is about social issues. When in internet there are a lot of let's so-called information, landslide of a trash information, and from that, in that ocean of the trash, you can't find real information. What is real, what is fake? And what I wanted to stress here, because a lot of people think that there is one institution or someone who monitors all this, but actually there is no one. A lot of institutions means monitors or watch on their scope of interest. Let's say, for instance, if you are for intelligence, maybe you're looking for in the deep web what terrorists are chatting. If you are in the criminal police, you're chasing for pedophiles. My institution, we looked for incitement of hatred, but we do not have, at least not publicly available data. But there is one institution or some person who have combined data that can say what's happening today. And this is not so easy to do because what we have to say, we have no agreement upon what is disinformation, what is fake news, not national and even not international. And even though, for instance, in EU will agree upon what is fake news, the notion of fake news. The problem that I would like to stress here, that we will have to change international treaties. And to change them, I do not want to go to having a lot of precarious details, it will be not so easy to do, because you have to have international consensus, and there are international actors who have different points of view, different interests, and partly of them we're good with what we have today. So we will not be willing to change the situation from a juridical point of view. So what we will have to do, maybe we'll look for technical solutions, maybe artificial intelligence and so on, somehow to detect and to combat with fake news, with this malware attacks and so on. And this will be the big issue. And 2020, what exposed, and we'll come back to this BBC movie Years and Years, but 2020 showed that distance working, new challenges will appear, and we will have to adapt to them.
You know, I will ask now, Monica, maybe you to reflect on this. So, like, you know, we see that there are lots of issues around, and the question is, so is it so that we don't have tools for it, or how is that? Basically, it's more like lack of, let's say, ability to agree on the things, or implementing some kind of what exists, because you work a lot with different type of tools and artificial intelligence possibilities, different type of security tools. So can you reflect on this a bit?
Okay, so I would say there are two sides of the coin, because this area has been developing very rapidly during the last few years. There is one side, fake news producers. They also developing AI tools to generate those news, to generate fake videos, fake speeches, and this is advancing quite quickly. And there is other side of coin, using the same technologies to detect it, to prevent it. So I would say the area is growing both in intelligence of the threat and of intelligence of the prevention. And one of those tools to combat fake news is actually open source intelligence tools. These are the tools that look into the internet sources. So, for example, news, social media sites, and use artificial intelligence to make sense of what they are reading. So if you would have such a tool monitoring your social media stream, you could detect that, for example, there is some kind of propaganda group emerging or something like that. So you could detect it as an entity emerging within the social landscape. And then if such a tool would be used by a governmental institution, they could possibly also take action for it. The tricky part is that it's the most of responsibility here comes for institutions who have the rights to monitor social networks, because for the regular user, the social networks have regulations, so you would not scrape and use their data just like that. So I think the problem is about the process. AI is actually quite new within the government area, and government needs transparency. We cannot always guarantee the transparency of artificial intelligence algorithm, but we can we can help with making a tool that helps the analysts to notice, to detect some things, and of course the final decisions are on people. So there are actually tools, I would say, to summarize the whole landscape. They developing quite quickly. So, and they use a combination of different algorithms we develop while simply, like, for example, working with videos or speech. All of that intelligence is combined and used in open source intelligence tools, but as well as we develop, for example, our video creating capability, which might seem quite innocent, it's also being developed for fake news. So it's a continuously evolving area.
So continuously area, and Andres, maybe you can extend on this. So, but are we then able to kind of protect ourselves with the solutions that we have?
Yeah, there are excellent points touched by Mantas and Monica about fake news. I mean, I think the most important problem that companies has is the lack of basic security awareness. I mean, during 2020, I participated in more than 20 maybe social engineering tests, which resulted in quite revealing results. I mean, talking about faking things, people trust all sorts of stuff they see on the internet or in their inbox. It is really easy to manipulate the information and to fake it, and you don't have to fake it really good to have enough people to believe it. It's not even the question here. I mean, if we look into like deep fakes, the technology that fakes faces on people, it's quite advanced, and and that is not even necessary to do all the work that malicious actors do. And yeah, I think the most important focus for all organizations should be security awareness. I mean, if you take into account older people or people who are new with technology, they don't even know that the things exist. All this faking technologies and things like that. So it is really easy to manipulate these people, and I think it is really big part of people who are not who are not aware enough of these type of threats.
Then Mantas, maybe like a question to your side. So then, but whose problem then it is? Like, is it like our like personal problem of individuals or companies, or it's a governmental then problem on trying to control these things?
The problem is for everyone, for the government and for society and the public as well. We have to understand how we came to this point, and the answer is quite simple. In the 1980s and the 1970s, when there was no even internet and was the computer age was just starting, the regulations been made for radio and televisions, and those regulations been made according to that time, what was to that context. Eventually, internet took off and take over. Now it's the main dominant media actually, as a social networks, etc. But regulations they stayed in from the 80s and 60s for last century. And now, what I said before, if we wanted to change them, we have to go back to sit together and to change as international community. But because there are different, for instance, China have their own agenda, Russia as well, the United States, so on. Nobody wants, let's say, to change the status quo. And what's happening, for instance, you know this interesting story about that Donald Trump has been banned from Twitter. It's quite, let's say, very public. It's not a secret, let's say. Another thing is that Parler, it's another social media, have been take over from app stores and Google Store. So you now not be able to, let's say, use those apps. And what it means actually, we've been cut from possibility to do business favorably. And who done this? It has been done by other private companies. Twitter said that, okay, what Donald Trump tweets is against our internal policy. We are a private company and we can do this. And that's quite solid opinion. Another thing, Google and Apple said, okay, Parler violates our internal policy, so private company cut off another private company. And here is the problem that now the solutions comes usually from the private companies, but some of them have too big power to decide, and this contradicts the notion of freedom of speech. So this is very big issue. And another thing that actually Monica said, and I totally agree, we have those so-called technical security skills. There are a lot of companies who actually works on this and doing a great job, really great job. But another thing that is the most biggest threat and the biggest loop is actually person who sits behind the computer, and he or she sometimes relax too much and leaves open holes, and this leads to unwanted consequences.
Just a short intro. We have already Marius also joining us. So Marius, please come on stage and introduce briefly yourself. But the next question will go to, not to you actually, but we will jump on some very interesting topic that we already have a question from the audience. So Marius, please introduce yourself shortly.
Marius Parešius, I'm a guy who was black hacker in the past, so cybersecurity is my hat. But nowadays I'm vice president of Paysera. I'm working with cybersecurity threats on fintechs and also helping people to be safer every day.
Thanks. Romunus, reflecting a bit on what Mantas said. Because you see that a lot, actually, all these malware emails and all this stuff. So do you think that some kind of education would help or not? Because we all understand that, opening emails with some interesting attachments or whatever, it doesn't help at all. But still, people do that. Do you think it would help?
Yes, I agree with our discussion. Because to have cyber tools is not enough, because need to organize regular cybersecurity awareness trainings, maybe make a phishing test with employees, and of course look into results. Last year were massive social engineering and phishing attacks for Lithuanian people and companies. For example, in September, fake emails came from State Tax Inspectorate, which informed people about cancelled tax declarations. And this phishing attack was used homograph attack. It means that used similar combinations of letters in the domain name of fake website. And of course, developer who created this fake websites was registered domain such website and obtained wallet HTTP security certificate. And of course, this is a great example of a sophisticated case of cyber fraud. Second example is about in autumn last year, customers received emails about confirmation of incoming money into the bank account. In this email was included direct link to a fake bank website, and it tries to get real credentials or smart ID pins 1, pins 2. Third example maybe could be in December when a lot of people in Lithuania got fake DHL emails where is described about delivered fake packages, but of course was added attachments to the letter with information how to get this information, but you need of course to open this attachment and of course you get infection. And this example indicates that is not enough to have cyber tools. Maybe you have good email protection, you have mail server, you install all security products, but if you not organize security awareness trainings, if you not test your customers, you not test your employees, and it's only need a time when you got this attack to your company. And of course, and we make together educations because education near security tools it could be mandatory.
Good, thanks, Marius. Since you're joined, let's maybe shift to a bit of different, let's say, angle. And we have a really good topic touched by the audience. So now we see a lot of tech gadgets everywhere. Yeah, so we're connected through all the angles. So first of all, before jumping into the question itself, maybe first of all, let's get on the ground and let's talk about, so what are the possibilities from the cyber threat point of view to use those, and maybe you could give some examples, because I'm sure you're able to do that.
I just come back from the trainings for one of the big international enterprises with a chapter in Lithuania, few hundred of people, and I have one interesting gadget to show for you. Maybe you know attacks when people stealing personal data by cheating with your GSM data, what you're sending through the internet. An example of phone calls, SMSs, connectivities to different locations. And at that training, one of the questions was, there was a situation when they was at the airport in Germany, and just in a few weeks, they received phone calls, scam ones, SMSs, and other disturbance from the scammers who somehow received the information about the GSM things of a customer who was at that airport. And I have one gadget to show. It's small gadget, and it's very interesting stuff. It's GSM, 2G, 3G, and 4G station, which can be used just to cheat at some locations. And show itself as the classical GSM operator, which is located next to you. This one is small one. It's for backpack. It's reaching GSM mobile phones in 10, 20 meters only. But if you have it in your backpack, you can interpret you as a GSM operator with roaming, with everything at the airport, at the trainings of the military and other things. And you can collect all data. You standing as a man in the middle. It's a GSM-based, technological-based man-in-the-middle attack, which is used nowadays for more than 10 years. And it's cheap. It's maximum 1,000 euros. And you can use it for some kind of testing. In our case, we're using it for testing of equipment. An example, webcams with GSM modules. To check there are some kind of extra layer of a network with sending data back to the mama China.
Good example, thanks. So coming to the second half of that question, Mantas, maybe from your previous experience, because you know it's purely your topic. So who is then responsible for like security of those gadgets and measuring that basically? Yeah? So or it should be some kind of security like responsibility for these kind of gadgets introduced.
Good question. You know, it's like the answers will be like with a knife. With a knife, you can cut the bread and cut the throat. So the knife is just the tool, and it depends who uses this tool. The problem is that actually today there are more and more tools who are like a double sword. You can use as well as a threat and as well for good business. For good business development and so on. So there is no actually one institution who checks and let's say allows or denies access to the market. And this is the problem, but you know this is the price that we have, and I'm willing to pay, because otherwise we have to give more responsibility and say to the government or to some authorities who will decide for us. This is good, this is bad, and we will dictate how we have to live. And do not think this is, let's say, the society we want to live and want to develop. It's my personal opinion. And another thing that I wanted to stress, that of course, as Mario said, there are a lot of state actors, state governments who actually intentionally create such gadgets to have upper hand in cyber warfare. For instance, with DNS. DNS is actually when in internet all the routers goes internet, let's say, data, and the most, let's say, free way. And China means that we have some attempts to forward all the flow of global internet network via the China, and then it will go somehow to at the moment to control, to maybe to decrypt, etc. So the Taiwanese, for instance, we have been very careful, and it's for them it's national security. But if mainland China will decide to attack Taiwan, they will for several hours try to have, let's say, to hack all the internet, or to hack all the internet flow, and maybe Chinese will do this military operation. The world will not be able to communicate via internet to know what is happening. And here's a huge problem, but as well, for a moment, we do not have good and solid and solutions. And I think that we will go like in this way. There will be problems, we will find the solutions, and then we will face another problems, and the cycle will repeat.
Good, thanks. So maybe, since we're a bit of moving to the end of the discussion, so we discussed the trends itself and the possibilities, but I would like, for our audience to get something, to their minds. And maybe, Marius, I will start with you and ask yourself. Okay, so we discussed different topics on the trends itself and on the attacks itself. What kind of attacks there are, and what are the possibilities, let's say, to sometimes to let's say be aware of them, or at least to know that you're attacked. But what is your favorite, let's say, example and the best example you could give, and the lesson from the previous year that we had from the cybersecurity world?
I think ransomware and malwares from that side is most dangerous things from last year, and there will be, I think, most dangerous thing for next few years. Encryption of your personal data, encryption of your servers is becoming big business. And there are a lot of services on darknet which offering you malware or cryptoware creation of a networks as a service. You can order creation of a new encryption engines. You can order creation and distribution of software which will encrypt half of a world without touching it yourself. You're just coming, you're paying in cryptocurrency, and starting to receive notifications about infected computers, about infected networks, and the amounts of money that your software will start to ask from the infected computer owners. I think it's big business for the hackers, or maybe it's not even hackers. Sometimes it's financial business of some of the black hat wearing people. They're trying to do the business, and sometimes they even infecting governmental structures like water supply, electricity, educational institutions, food supply, and sometimes even medical institutions. And there are coming situations when some cities, airports, surgery institutions become shut down from the electricity, and the people starting to die because of hacker attacks. And this is like real war, not even cyber war, and there must be the fight backs. I think some governments will prepare programs to fight back with the real guns in that kind of situation against the cyber attacks to the institutions and to the servers of the institutions which working with real life of the people, real supply of the people. And I think there must be changes in the world to protect us. Maybe some changes will be not very nice for everyone. There will be spying on people. There will be spying on our children, because all of us and all the equipment what we're holding can become cyber guns without even our knowledge.
So, you know, Marius, you're pushing that to very pessimistic, isn't it? but okay, but let's. It's a reality. I do understand that. It's and it's all fine. So,
I was in that kind of war.
Yeah, I do understand. So, but
investigated shooting down of an example, quarter of a Kiev, shooting down of 2 airports. Via cyber guns. They shot down the airports from electricity, and the planes was on the sky. Some of the planes was without fuel. Who will take care about planes which will be grounded to the cities? Who will take care about the medical institution and the surgery when people will die at the hands of the doctors? Who will take care of on that? Why you think that it's not a real situation?
So it is. So and the next question actually is so what can we do about that? Yeah. So Monica, maybe you can elaborate. So maybe there is an then opportunity for, let's say, good people or people creating different type of solutions. So if we are able to do something about that,
I think well, for the most cases in life, we already have solutions. They only need to be implemented, and it has to be done with good quality. So I think it's a matter of government focus, of focusing attention, of investing in cybersecurity, and investing in organizations, because for now, I mean, for the most types of attacks, we already have tools, but we need to actually apply those and apply it with the with the expertise to each organization, so they would be protected from most cases. So I would say, when I talked about the quite advanced methodologies like combating fake news and so on, it's very often, well, it's not actually a life or death concern. Most of the time, it's a concern of forming social public opinions. But when it comes to hospitals, airports, power plants, it's more about really focusing on securing them, because another area actually where hackers get in is, for example, power plants, where the system is quite different from regular computers. It has special needs, special data flows, so all of that has to be taken into account when securing it. And I think we could do so much more on actually improving security of key structures and key organizations.
Okay, thanks for elaborating. So basically, from then having all this situation, we all understand that there is a threat. We kind of have understanding that there are tools, but the implementation sometimes is not happening at all, or they're used differently. So then maybe Ramunas, starting from you. So then what is the like, let's say, the future itself? Yeah. So for the, as we call this post-pandemic world, and we all understand that life has changed, and our work has changed, and how we are interacting with each other. So how do you see then all this sector in basically moving forward then, and what kind of maybe attacks we will have in the future more, and maybe that's reflecting to what Mantas said also, that maybe it is really coming, that the world again will come from fully digital to to fully just without any kind of online activity and disconnected.
Yeah, this year could be one of a trend, could be targeted attacks. And if company has installed antivirus product, some kind which gets which detects files, malicious files, but this kind of attacks could be fileless, and is very dangerous for companies. And after this targeted attack, very is expensive to resolve all, and is could be one of a trend in this year. And a lot of companies in Lithuania is not prepared for this, and is one of new thing. We are communicating with our customers. We will first time to hear about this kind of attacks without any files, and it used Windows or Linux or another kind of tools which are integrated in the operating systems, and not all know need more. I need more to have experience to detect this kind of this kind of attacks, because someone of customers is trying to understand how is working these tools which detects targeted attacks. Name is endpoint detection and response tools, and is need a time to understand how it works and how to create different type for detections, how to understand mature attack methodology, and is one of thing in this area. And specialists which understand this kind of attacks could be is easy to find a job and to understand how to resolve these things. And you will find vulnerabilities in your network before your attack will come. And of course, this kind of solutions could detect this type of attacks and to resolve before there will be spread in all network.
Thanks. And so, Andrews, can you a bit move on with this, because you're kind of hands-on on the tools itself, yeah? And but is it that so what kind of trend then we have for the next year? So is it that only some kind of tool implementation, or we can do more about that?
Yeah, so I tend to lean more to the social part of the equation. I mean, you can have all tools that are available to you. If you have unlimited resources, you can develop anything. Well, you can protect from technological means using the technology themselves. What you cannot protect that efficiently still is a human factor. I mean, if the target is not ready and does not have a capability of detecting or seeing the threat himself, no tool will help him. This is a universal tool, and Yeah, there are a lot of things that we can do differently. We can read more about cybersecurity. We can do our own researches. People should ask more questions about everything that they see on the internet, on their inboxes, Yeah, this is something that will have to change. And I think this problem is more emphasized this year because of the pandemic, because everything is shifting towards virtual communications. So everyone is chattering much more on the internet right now. Companies, colleagues, everything. I mean, I think the most important part is to just invest more time and resources into better information security awareness.
Thanks, Andrew. So with this, since we're have a really interesting discussion, but the time is running up. So maybe then extend with this, let's say, final question from my side, and for each of you, and maybe Mantas will start then with you, just going around. So what will be the advice for our for people and for the society and for of course our audience for the future?
To answer very short, don't lose the hope. Don't lose the hope. To elaborate on this answer, I would say we like in the 19th century when the horse age was turned by the cars take over, and eventually those who lived there understood that, okay, cars can drive much faster than the horse, but as well, with the cars, we have car jams, we have car accidents and so on. So we have to have new solutions. And as well with internet, it is the same. When internet appeared, it appeared as very handy tool. You don't need to go to the library to search for information. You can connect to your friends, to expand your community, to scope of your knowledge, and what is good. But as well, the other side of this coin was cyber threats. And I hope what differently from the TV movie that I mentioned years and years, that we will not turn back and switch to the paper age because we can't manage these threats. I know that it will be bumps, pitfalls, and crap on our way, but eventually I know that as a society, as a people, we are very adaptive and we find a solution. So I'm quite optimistic, even though I know that the future we will, even in the nearest future, we will be forced to talk about cyber threats because this thing will not go away very soon.
Thanks, Marius. Can you give your advice for the future and the coming time?
I'm talking about cybersecurity, I think, from year 97, 98 in Lithuanian market. But first 10 years was very strange situation. People saying, oh, it's nothing happening, everything will be okay, there are no accidents, you just spamming yourself. But nowadays situation is different. Everybody understand what we have it on the streets, we have it on daily usage of the internet. So my advice is be safe for COVID virus and be safe on cybersecurity. So use as long as possible passwords, change them every half a year. Never use the same password or the same look-like combination of a password on two different services. Use VPN, use password bookmarking services, and don't allow others to offer you something. Billions via Nigerian letters, emails about reduced taxes, some kind of offers to go to the post office and then to receive something. If you don't even know the sender, ask several times the senders Is it really letters for you? Is this information really for you? And you are allowed to read it even. Two-factor authentication, maybe three-factor, maybe even four-factor authentication with several layers of biometric data. Maybe it's the future of our authentication and authorization to access something and to signature something which is yours, or you are allowed to use it. Good luck.
Thanks, Marit. Monica, what is your advice?
I think I will be very practical because many good points were already touched, but I would say, well, the easiest thing to hack is human factor. Most of the time, most of the attacks do happen because of humans in the loop. So I would say always be aware if you are getting emails with suspicious links or attachments from people you know. Don't trust them right away. Double check with them if you have no way of contacting them, maybe a phone call or a message through Messenger, for example. Always do that. So be sure to protect yourself and protect your data. Don't give out your data for everybody. And when you're reading news, pick good sources, because internet these days, well, it's a free world full of fake news. So use content responsibly and carefully select your sources.
Thanks so much. Romunus, what can you advise?
Yeah, my advice is because last year trends was which need to fix for IT administrators. For administrators, you don't be blind when company computers are outside company network, because you can very easy to implement tools to get status of computer secure. And which are at home, and of course to fix very quickly if with computers have any issues. That's.
Thanks. And Andrews, can you give your final advice on that?
Yeah, I think my colleagues covered all practical advices there are. Yeah, I would just generalize it. Just expect unexpected. I mean, we saw last year a lot of attacks that we only thought that are theoretical happened. So attackers are catching up really fast. Their resources are expanding. I mean, with all the state-backed attackers, it's also really highly emphasized. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Just expect the unexpected from any place you can imagine.
Thanks so much. I will also give an advice from my side. So I will advise just not to rush in this crazy world, because everything is happening so quickly that we don't notice the threats that are just passing by. So I think that looking precisely, especially at the information that we get, and trying to actually understand it might be some kind of either fake news, either some malware or whatever, or just an attack trying to just steal sometimes our data, or to get into our internal network. It is a possibility that we have. Thank you so much, everyone, for being with me today and participating in this great discussion. I hope that our audience got some ideas and understanding on what is happening in this world, in the cybersecurity world, and what are the threats that we are facing today. So thank you all. Let's stay safe and let's hope that our discussions will be more about the trends on how we secure the society and people, but not on the attacks that we had and on the losses that we faced the last year or whatever on other period of time. So thank you very much.
Hmm. Thanks.
Rocket is the key fintech hub in Lithuania, where top creators and founders build the future of financial technologies and the next generation of sustainable innovations. Acting as a dynamic ecosystem, we provide space for networking, expertise sharing, and cooperation, enabling and contributing to the success stories of the finance, technology, and innovation sectors. During the past years, our hub has established a leading position as the home of fintech and core place for fintech community.